Live from JMT Studios, it's time for Two Jersey Kids, the best video game podcast on the planet.
What is up, everybody? This is episode 44 of Two Jersey Kids. I'm a little hyped up because it's been a while since I've been in the studio recording. It feels like forever, five-ever even. I am the host of this video game podcast that is Two Jersey Kids, Adam Buckingham. Alongside me is my best friend, the best stick handler in the business. Unfortunately, I can't see him right now because his webcam's off in Nowheresville. Gary Seisel, how you doing today, Gary?
Doing excellent. It's a little weird right now. I'm sitting at a desk with my new PC. It's happening, folks. We're here. We've finally done it. It's happening.
Do you feel more professional now that you're sitting at a desk with a nice chair? I'm picturing it all in my head because I can't visibly see you right now, sitting in a nice comfy chair, just feel so professional.
I'll tell you what, it's different. Like, I kind of have to get my bearings because I've done this for so long now, just sitting on my couch with a mic next to me. It's just been something I'm used to, so now it's nice to kind of just sit here, mic in front of me on my table. It's going to be kick-ass. I might actually post a picture of the whole
you should.
The whole setup. Yeah, I need to get a new.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, well, I kind of need to get a new desk and a decent gaming chair. But other than that, though, it's all good now.
You're moving along, Gary. I'm proud of you. I want to touch more into that when I come back to you. But right now, I got to do the spiel. But if you guys didn't know, if you're a new listener, this is Two Jersey Kids. We are a video game podcast. Me and Gary are outsiders. We're not insiders. Like the IGN, Giant Bombs, GameSpot, Stop, whatever you want to call them. We are outsiders, giving our outsider perspective on everything going on in the video game industry. We release every Tuesday and Friday. That may change, who knows? But we right now release every Tuesday and Friday. Friday being the episode where we go through all the news that's in your ear holes right now. That's the episode right now, is the Friday episode. It's exciting. You can follow us on Twitter at Two Jersey Kids. If you're a continuing listener, you just know that we appreciate you so much and we love interacting with you on Twitter. So please tweet us. You can tweet our personal accounts or you can tweet at Two Jersey Kids. We'll be sure to respond. New listener, please stick around. Stick to the end. I think you'll enjoy what is coming our way. Now that I got through that, Gary, I just want to know, how is the PC building process? I know it's been a build up for the past few weeks. If you're a new listener, Gary has been trying to put together his PC and it's taken him a little while getting all the parts collected together, and now he finally put it together. And I want to know, how is the PC Master Race treating you, Gary?
It is absolutely fantastic, worth every penny. I will say that right now.
We lost him, folks. We lost him.
Oh God. I think, you can't do that to me because I thought you meant that you lost my audio. Now that's kind of scary, but yeah, it's been awesome. I've been playing a lot of different games. The Steam summer sale's been going on. So I've had a chance to buy a lot of different games, basically for like $4, $5. I think some for $10. But I've mostly been playing H1Z1, City Skylines.
Really?
And I actually got a little bit into Doom.
Shit.
Yeah, it's been exciting times. H1Z1 has been one of those things where this is probably one of the worst games I could have picked, I feel like, to play upon trying to get used to the mouse and keyboard. Because not only is it kind of like janky at times and the hit register isn't great, the fact that I have to account for bullet drop and also get used to the movement in the mouse, that is not easy. So I started playing, I guess, a couple days ago, and it was pure hell, honestly, for like the first few days. I was just getting killed constantly. I couldn't get anything going, but like I was enjoying myself, and that was the funny thing. Like, I was having fun, even though I was getting my ass kicked. And I think just last night and like maybe yesterday, or just last night and maybe the day before that, I started to get like some multi-kill games going.
Nice.
I'm starting to get better. So it's a lot of fun.
So are you planning on playing Doom with a straight up controller, or because you can go out and purchase like 360 controllers or normal actually PS4 controllers you can hook up to your PC and Steam, and you can just use a controller straight up. So do you plan on doing that with the single player first person shooters, or are you going to try to get used to the mouse and keyboard and be you just get all up in that PC sphere?
Yeah, it's basically exactly that. I kind of just want to get used to the mouse and keyboard. I have never played with one, like, realistically, in like multiplayer, even single player. I just never got into like first-person shooters back in the day when I had a computer that was decent enough to run games. So I'm basically going to use mouse and keyboard for everything. I actually kind of wanted to get like a single-player shooter, so that's where Doom comes in. I wanted to get a single-player shooter just to kind of sit back and relax and get used to the movement and everything that comes with the computer. So It's been fun. City Skylines is great too. I was, saying before that I've been dying for like a city builder or kind of like something like Civilization where you can sit back and build something from the ground up and see how it stands the test of time. So City Skylines has been great. It's really in depth. It's a lot more in depth, I feel like, than SimCity was. Like there's a lot more stuff you have to take into account when you're building your city, like traffic flow, and that can be really frustrating, as I've seen recently. I'll probably post a picture of the couple cities I've been working on. So it's been a great time. There's so many more games I want to try out, and it's just the beginning, folks. Just the beginning.
So did you only purchase H1Z1, Doom, and City Skylines, or are there others in the queue that you purchased during the Steam sale that you just want to rattle off?
Yeah. So I bought Age of Empires 2 HD edition.
Nice.
Just for nostalgia's sake. Argo, which is a game. It's kind of like I think it's built off the Arma engine. My brother-in-law is really into that game, and he wanted me to play with him. I guess because you kind of need a team for these types of games. I also bought Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. The reason why you're asking is because I thought that maybe somebody would still be playing online. As it turns out, no. There's no one playing online. So I bought the game. It was $10. I'll play through the single-player campaign, and it is what it is. I also have, for some reason, I didn't realize this, but I had Dota 2 on here. Never played that.
Dota is free, and I think it does pop up on people's feed all the time. So, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense then. Okay, yeah. Then I also have this game called Realm Grinder. It's kind of like I think it's like kind of like a clicker type game. Really simple. He kind of just.
You are just fucking going all out with these random games that I don't even know.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Damn straight. Expanding the horizons. I obviously have. I bought The Sims 3.
I actually saw Realm Grinder on. I just realized. I think it's on iOS. I believe. Funny enough.
I think so. I think it's a mobile game. Yeah, because there's this is the PC version, but it's like a really simple type of game with like pixel art. It's kind of like reminds me of Stardew Valley a little bit in terms of like the art style, I guess you could say, if I could make somewhat of a comparison. But yeah, I ended up buying The Sims 3. I haven't played much of that yet. I've kind of just been like grinding the hell out of H1Z1 trying to get good. I'm just trying to. One day.
You'll get there.
And then I also bought, of course, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Of course.
Now, the only problem with this, okay, for as much as I wanted to play this, the problem is that there's a bug with the game where after combat, your character will get frozen and you can't move. And that's kind of a problem. And it's like pretty much after every engagement. So I haven't really played it that much, but we'll see. Maybe I can find a workaround to that at some point. But that's basically been it, honestly. I mean, that's kind of like the long-winded explanation of my computer experience so far. But yeah.
Of course.
What do you gotta say, Adam?
There's a fucking gigantic fly just flying around my apartment that probably came in when Marta was heading out to go exchange cars. But fucking A, god damn it, now it's gonna annoy me this whole podcast. I'm sorry, folks. I get distracted easily. But yeah, I actually all week and weekend have been moving Marta's stuff into my place so then we can transfer over to the new apartment later on the next weekend. So that has been a hassle, so I'm excited to actually be back on. I haven't played much any video games in this time period since we last talked, Gary. I have been playing since the only game time that I had was on mobile, so I was playing this random Empire and Swords type game. I forget if that's the exact name of it. I just know it's called Empire in the generic when it first starts, like it's on your normal iOS, Apple. I can't speak right now. The fly is bugging me, but yeah, I mean, it's just like a match 3 type game. You collect heroes. It's like sort of building, this classic iOS game where you build up resources that over time you collect more of the resources. You go out, do a match 3, defeat enemies with the 5 heroes that you have. You come back, you collect more iron and meats, and then you can go raid other people's sort of area by fighting off their heroes. It's a very simple mobile game, what you expect, but it's getting me by. It's tickled my video game itch right now, but even though I want to get more back into Metal Gear Solid 5, which I don't know if I got more into that since the last time we talked. Now that I think about it, I played more over the weekend or on Friday before I went over to Marta's. So yeah, I've dug more into that. It feels great. It plays very well, and I'm digging it right now. Have still no clue what's happening story wise, but I've been putting people to sleep, sending them off in parachutes to go back to Mother Base. It's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward. I just parachuted off a little wolf cub, so I have now going to be a nice little animal to help me out as I roam the open world. Faulting some sheep and some people, and it's been a unique experience to say the least. But yeah, that's about it. I've been trying to, since I haven't been able to play games too much, I've been trying to interact with more people online. And before we get into This Week in Gaming and all the news, I actually got into an interesting discussion with @AndyOrg13, who I just talked to. I think we were talking about when it comes to Nintendo and their new IPs, and I wrote basically asking him, the question is that I asked by you, Gary, on the pod, is when will Nintendo start making games for people who aren't interested in the same old IPs? Because for him, these IPs don't excite him enough to move over. I think there are more out there like him, and I'm just curious if Nintendo will address that. So I think it just came to that point, and I thought he sort of made an interesting point. So he stated in like a long list of tweets by replying to himself, so I sort of put them together so I don't have to read from my phone. He said, well, making a new IP is never easy. You basically look at something you make from the ground up. When we see new IPs like Splatoon and ARMS, these are attempts, experiments, if you will. They won't necessarily make a new IP just to serve a certain market. They will make games that are simply in Nintendo style, more family-friendly, but capable of other things, like Metroid, Bayonetta 2 on Wii U exclusively. One always has to look at a big company's perspective. For AAA, making a game is a risk. Will it sell to hold the company afloat? That's where this whole same old stems from, in my eyes. And now that we're in safer waters again, maybe we'll see more experiments. And he says, I'm looking forward to what's to come, but I definitely understand where you are coming from. So thank you @AndyOrg13 for interacting with me. I always like talking with people online, getting their opinions. I don't try to be confrontational, which I've noticed when interacting online, a lot of people like to do because they like to feel like they're the only right ones in the room, which never happens, motherfucker.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought he made a good point is, do you think since Nintendo is selling so well with the Switch and their IPs are now coming off the ground, selling more, they're bringing back Wii U ports that people haven't been able to play because no one was on the Wii U, and now the Switch is selling so well, and they're bringing deluxe versions of the Wii U games exclusives, and now bringing them over to the Switch. Since the company seems like it's in better standing with the Switch selling well, do you see them taking more risks now with their IPs and maybe try to branch out and try to grab the people? Me personally, I don't see Nintendo ever really doing that because Nintendo is good at what they do. They're good at making their IPs. They're good at making cartoony-ish style games and branching off a little bit to make slight tweaks to the IP and make the game feel fresh, but it still never goes outrageous and beyond, I just wanted your thoughts, Gary.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that anytime, like in Nintendo's case now, it's like you said, they're doing well. Their consoles sold well. Obviously, a lot of people are really excited about it. People that haven't even necessarily bought it yet are excited about it. So I think that anytime that you've had the success that Nintendo has, I think that they're going to maybe look at expanding their market eventually. So I think that's where his idea comes in, that, now that they've kind of, hit that success, now they can look to different experiments going forward. They can look to maybe creating like different games, like, I don't know, Mass Effect, for just a crazy example. Make their own, Nintendo style Mass Effect that everybody loves. But I think that it's possible that going forward, Nintendo looks to different options to try to bring in a different group of people, maybe younger adults like myself. So we'll see what happens. But
I mean, you could see in their newest Zelda, the Breath of the Wild, that they took more influences from Western developers and open world RPGs when they created this, and they added their own spin on it with Zelda. So I definitely can see Nintendo doing things along that line, is taking the IPs that they have and, tweaking them to fit the more Western style, the more modern style of gameplay that people come to enjoy from RPGs per se, or platformers, or, I can see them trying to tweak it and, getting information, or how do I say this? You know what I mean?
Well, I was just going to say that it could be like like baby steps. Basically, they release a game, Legend of Zelda, and they put some Western elements in it to see how it'll do. And obviously, in the case of Legend of Zelda, it was wildly successful. No pun intended. So they get that gauge there. They see how the game does, and then they go forward later on, maybe make a more Western style game. That sort of thing.
I blame you, Gary, for me being thrown off because I can't see your beautiful face while we record.
It is
upsetting.
I will say it is a little different because I can't, when you're talking now, I can't raise my hand and kind of like get your attention, like, hey, I want to say something. So it's an interesting dynamic we got going on.
It's not going to be as fluid, so sorry, people out there. Blame Gary. He needs to go get a mic. So tweet at RealScavenger18 and tell him to get a fucking, not mic, get a freaking headset. Not a headset, a video camera. There it is.
Let's be honest, this podcast has never been that smooth anyway, so.
Now it's time for This Week in Gaming, brought to you by Gatorade, but not really. It's actually brought by Moby Games. Thank you, Moby Games, for doing this. It helps us out with the segment. Gary, go.
Yeah, so the first game that I found for This Week in Gaming is Spec Ops: The Line, released on PS3, Xbox 360, and Windows in 2012. Now, I never played this game, but I was always intrigued by the fact that this game wasn't like a Call of Duty shooter where you're just basically shooting people and then the story is over. You save the world. I like the fact that this game kind of focused on your character and how your actions affect others. Now, I was trying to look for some like interesting trivia and facts, I guess, for this game. So what I found out is that apparently Nolan North actually voices Captain Martin Walker, and he's the main protagonist in this game. He obviously gives an amazing performance. I actually watched some videos today on YouTube of just some scenes that he was in, and they're just tremendous. Now, this game actually did pretty well. It received a 76 on Metacritic. Now, some of the pros that I've gathered from the from IGN, Kotaku, all these different reviews, is that Nolan North's voice acting is obviously amazing. Presentation's great, and also the writing is fantastic. Now, on the other hand, the game was actually criticized for having a story that was downright confusing, and some people even said it didn't make any sense whatsoever. I find that could be a problem. And additionally, the enemy AI was often predictable and quite dumb, and also the controls were pretty subpar as well. So you kind of get a mixed bag with this game, but I always thought this game was kind of a cool game that I never got a chance to play. Adam, you ever get a chance to take part?
No, I never did, and I'm saddened by this because I've heard good things about the storytelling and how, because the point of it, I think, is Spec Ops: The Line is, how far do you go? When do you cross that line? And I feel like it sort of portrays, I think it goes into you now killing in this game. You actually are shooting American troops, and it sort of touches on that because I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe you're some sort of mercenary, but maybe you're not. I don't know exactly, but I know it touches into gray areas and kind of hits those notes in the story telling portion of the game. So I definitely would love to go back and check it out. I'm not sure if it's on Steam or, I know it released on Windows, like you said here, and I was wondering how easy is it to finally go back and play this game. So yeah, I definitely want to go back and check it out because I've heard good things about the storytelling, and it sort of makes you think.
Yeah, maybe I can actually buy this now that I have Steam and can actually run games. So I'll have to take a look at that. But the next game that I found actually is kind of relevant to my current PC adventure was Doom 2, released on Macintosh in 1995. Now, I think the Windows version was released in 1994 in September, so this was on, obviously, the Mac, so it's later on. But anyway, the reviews that I found of this game, I have to admit, they were kind of hard to come by. I was trying to look like how this game did. Obviously, this game was released 22 years ago, so it's going to be hard to find reviews. But I did find an original GameSpot review in which they said that the game is great. They gave it like an 8.5 out of 10. They said the game is bigger, badder, and bloodier than the original, but unfortunately it doesn't really bring anything new to the genre. But some of the interesting facts that I found with this game were that according to the Doom Wiki, Doom 2 was the first of the series to be available through retail. Now, its predecessor had to be ordered through mail order. Crazy how times have changed. It's insane to me. But also, according to the Doom Wiki, thank you very much, a couple levels of the game, Wolfenstein and Gross, contain swastikas. Now, this in America really isn't much of a problem, even though obviously swastikas aren't really good to be painting all over your game levels. But apparently in the German version of the game, these levels aren't even in the game. And additionally, you can only own this game in Germany, but you can't sell or give it to anyone. So I'm not sure how you even acquire this game to begin with.
How do you even enforce that?
I don't really know. It's really interesting, the laws they have in Germany with regards to this game and all the, I guess, the hate symbols and speech. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
It's actually kind of funny that you brought this up because I was seeing articles touching that somebody who was selling his Doom 2 floppy disks and they sold for over $3,000.
That's so ridiculous. Oh my god! I mean, you can't even use them anymore. Like what? Why? I don't know.
Because why not, Gary? Why not?
You right.
So is that it for this week in gaming?
That would be it, good sir. That would be it.
Yeah. Cool.
I was taking a hefty swig of Monster right there, folks. Sorry.
And I heard the gulp, and I couldn't really. I realized you were doing that as soon as I heard it because I can't really see you right now. So I blame you for if anything is incoherent, people. This is not normally Two Jersey Kids. It's a little more fluid, but it's still as dysfunctional as always. Moving on to the news. So the first thing, I know there's a big thing that happened this week that was announced, but I wanted to touch on this real quick in the beginning of the podcast where I had more energy. There's an article written up by Kotaku by Heather Alexandria, and it talks about a game that was pulled from the PlayStation Network that claimed to be the, quote, easiest PS4 Platinum trophy, end quote, allowing a player to earn one of the prize achievements by playing for just a few minutes. The game was called 100,000 Top Rated, was online for 2 days before Sony finally yanked it. So apparently you were supposed to be solving a series of sliding images and liberally tossed trophies your way just for starting the game. And apparently you could get the Platinum Trophy within an hour. And also people were saying that you can get actually the trophy. Some YouTube posted walkthroughs to get it to 20 minutes. And I'm thankful that Sony finally brought this down. I fucking hate... And here's me getting on my rant now. I have it on the notes that I'm going to be ranting, and here it is. I fucking hate when games try to do this. I know My Name is Mayo was another type of the game that came out on the Vita and PS4, where it's literally you just clicking a mayo jar for I don't know how long and you get a platinum trophy. And this is the same thing where you don't even have to do it. See, the thing that annoys me is these type of games are using this as like some sort of marketing ploy to try to gain extra dollars from, people who just want to get an easy platinum. My question is, there are plenty of games that are easy platinums. It just takes more time than 1 hour. Telltale games they take 8 to 10 hours to get the platinum, and they're basically easy. You just follow the story, but at least you're telling a story. Like as a developer, they're actually putting time and effort to write the game. They're actually putting time and effort to give you multiple options, not fucking sliding images up and down or clicking a mayo jar. And I feel like it makes no sense for people that want an easy platinum. I mean, the whole point of a platinum is that you love the game so much that you put your time and effort into the game, and you have something to show for it. You say that I love this game so much that I am going to 100% it. I am going to get that platinum trophy, and it's kind of like a pride point when you go around telling people like, oh, I have a platinum for this game, or I have a platinum for that game. I'm happy that I have platinums for Rayman Legends and Resogun. They were a pain in the ass to get, but I got them because I really enjoyed the games at the time. And I have a platinum for Tales of the Borderlands because I love the game and I played it all the way through. So I feel like it just annoys me that some developers are using that as a marketing ploy to get people to buy this game, and also I just don't get the people that do purchase the game to get it quote-unquote easy platinum. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, from a gamer's perspective, if I were to ever earn a platinum, which by the way I do not have, I would actually want to do it the right way. Go through a game, grind no matter how much you have to get that platinum, especially if you enjoy the game. It isn't much of a grind anyway. But funny enough, I actually did 100% a game once.
Here we go again, folks.
And I've said this before on this podcast, NHL 3v3 arcade. I got all the trophies. I think one of them, I had to shut somebody out like 10-0 online, which, by the way, isn't easy in a 3v3 arcade with like superpowers. Yeah, I shut a guy out. I had all that. They didn't even have a platinum in the game. Unbelievable.
Funny enough,
I actually read it.
That kind of reminded me though. Apparently, in NHL 18, they're going to have a 3v3 arcade mode in the game.
I know. I'm so excited for that. I mean, I don't know. This, like, I'm not really excited for the game in general necessarily, but that 3v3 is pretty kick-ass, so I love that kind of arcadey stuff. It makes the game feel fun again. Yeah. It's just so simulation now, and it's kind of boring, to be honest with you.
I really miss those type of games. I miss, like, any NBA Street or NHL Hits. It doesn't even have to be any, like, doesn't even have to be that crazy, over the top, like arcadey, like where you're hitting people through glass, even though that's kind of fun. But I mean, the arcadey feel of games, like, they're a video game. Just make them fun. They don't need to be super realistic all the time. You have those games like that, and I just want more arcadey sports games because it can show the fun of sports games because it's a video game. They can be ridiculous. You can put somebody through the glass in a hockey rink and they come out fine in a video game, which is completely fine.
Well, see, the thing is, we kind of did this for ourselves as gamers because we wanted like that realistic sports game all along. Everyone's always asking, "Oh, we want this to be more realistic. We want this to be better." And in the end, we kind of dicked ourselves, to be honest.
Yeah, that is very true. Sucks. We wanted graphics, and you know what? The gameplay sort of suffered. I'm gonna fucking hit this fly. If it comes any closer to me, I'm gonna fucking destroy it. Come here, motherfucker. You're about to die. You're just going to hear me freak out in the middle of this podcast when I try to smack the shit out of this fly. Moving on to the actual big news. They finally announced the SNES Classic Edition that'll be coming out, and it comes fully loaded with 21 games, Gary. The SNES, which is a very beloved console. So I'm going to list off the games. You have Contra 3, The Alien Wars, Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, Final Fantasy III, F-Zero, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Star Fox, Street Fighter II Turbo Hyper Fighting, Super Castlevania 4, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out!, Yoshi Island, and I put this at last because it's really fascinating to me, is that they're actually going to put on this Star Fox 2, which never released. According to Wikipedia, it was canceled shortly before its planned release in 1995 because it was supposed to be the second in the Star Fox series, but they canceled it because of the impending release of the Nintendo 64 and the desire to use advanced systems available for a new Star Fox game and competition changing expectations of 3D games. And I just thought that was fascinating, how they're going to release a never-before-played game, Star Fox 2, now on the SNES. I feel like that is a really cool move that they did. But there's in this package, it's going to be 2 controllers, which will be included. And then Nintendo also promised that there'll be quote unquote significantly more SNES Classic Editions than the NES Classic Editions, and it'll set you back about $80. That I found. So, Gary, I just want to get your initial reaction to this, SNES Classic Edition that Nintendo will be releasing.
Well, of course, the first thing I thought of is, are they going to have enough units? I have to say, it's promising that they're actually going to focus on this. I hope that they, kind of can predict how much they're going to sell out of the gate. I feel like they're going to sell out no matter what, and I feel like it's going to be pretty quick. But I hope that they can replenish the stock and actually make this quote unquote console more available to people. But as far as the games are concerned, I mean, you can't go wrong with these games. I know a lot of people are really excited about them. I mean, you have Super Mario Kart, Super Metroid, a lot of great games in there. Kirby's, I like Kirby as well, so I'll probably, I actually may grab this. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I definitely want to, because I've heard such good things about the SNES. Like, people always talk about it with such, like, reverence. Like, they love this console so much. They love all the games that are on it. And I really want to go back and play it. And also, the exciting thing is that I kind of want to play with Marta and have her experience what these old games were like, too, with me. And, try to see if there's a common ground game that she could find that's fun. Because there is multiple multiplayer games in this. Like, you have Super Mario Kart. Kirby Dream Course is another one, which is basically like mini golf, but you're hitting Kirby's around. I just think it'd be really cool. And I know there was a thing, I think it was on Kotaku or some other site, where they sort of did a quick rating of all the games, like, through it. And on average, it came out to be like 8.75 or something, which is very solid. There's a lot of solid games that people have mentioned over periods of time, like Super Mario RPG. they love. Super Metroid is another one that people apparently adore, even though, side note, Metroid never sells, but yet people bitch and complain when it never comes out. You better fucking buy it when Metroid Prime 4 comes out, just throwing that out there. Yoshi's Island's another one. There's a lot that I want to hop into. This fly is going to fucking die during this podcast, I guarantee it. But yeah, also, I kind of had a thought that I sort of put out there, but no one responded to me. It's because it sounds really sad that no one responded to me, but it's okay. I forgive all of you. I'm just wondering, because so many people love the SNES Classic, and I've seen articles about games that they could have put on there, games that they wish they were on there, games that they missed, even though I think 21 games for $80 with 2 controllers is pretty solid of a price. I wonder if they plan on having like an add-on or a part 2 to the SNES Classic, because there's articles listing like 11 games that they're missing, or 9 games that aren't just the which had some more that weren't listed in the 11, and I just think it'd be fascinating if they were able to release another add-on to this, where you then get more games added to the SNES Classic. I think it'd be kind of cool.
I think it's possible. I don't really see it happening. I feel like this console, or quote-unquote console, it's kind of like a novelty item. I think they want it to be that way, like a limited edition sort of thing. So I don't really know if they're going to add games on, but this is one of those things where I never had a Nintendo growing up. I grew up with a PlayStation and a PC. So I never got a chance to really play a lot of these like original Nintendo games. I mean, I had a Game Boy and stuff like that, but I never had the console. Yeah. So this would be interesting for me to go back and play all these games I never even really, like some of these games I never really heard of. So, it'd be interesting to see my reaction to this whole thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited, because I hear people all the time in like the Insider, like all these old game media people, when they talk on podcasts, mention these games, and I'm like, I have no idea. I feel like just a youngin'. So I would definitely want to check this out, and maybe I could stream it if it's possible. I don't know if it has capabilities to do that. I would like to, but yeah. I'm just excited. I think it's really cool. I think it's a good price point for 21 games, including 2 controllers. I think it's pretty solid. I have noticed that when they put it up for pre-order in the UK, every time they put it up, like an article states that, you can pre-order it here. 5 minutes later, wherever you go, it's sold out already, out of stock for a pre-order. So it's not boding well so far for the SNES Classic. And it's still frustrating when I look online and I can't find stock for Nintendo Switch. They always say it's out of stock, which, again, Jesus Christ, it's kind of annoying. But moving on, I could rant and rave about the artificial shortage from Nintendo until the day is long, but I'm gonna move on. So apparently, in an interview with Edmund AM, Bioware's general manager Aaron Flynn described Bioware's new game Anthem as, quote, a genre we called science fantasy, very much like Star Wars, very much like the Marvel Universe. End quote, ellipsis. Quote, you see a lot of amazing things happening, but we don't worry too much about why they're happening or how they're happening, the science of it. He describes that portion of science fiction is actually Mass Effect's job. He continues and touches on the game's background, Anthem's background. He said, quote, the story is that are a member of a group called the Freelancers that are out there to protect and save humanity on an alien planet. And apparently they're also doubling down on the cooperative aspect of the game. Quote, it's cooperative, so it's our first game in a long time that you're going to play with your friends, natively all through the whole experience, end quote. He made sure to note that you can have a solo experience, but they are focusing on the co-op aspect of the game to make it fun for people. And I just kind of find it kind of interesting that they use the term science fantasy. Maybe they'll just go fucking ape shit on the crazy scale, which is fine by me because that's video games, and I really hope they put in robot dinosaurs, because I think of science and I think of fantasy, and put it together, you got or not robot dinosaurs, you have robots and dragons. Perfect. Robot dragons, I'm good. I'm perfect.
Yeah, I actually completely agree. That was the first thing that caught my eye when I saw this, was that they're not really paying attention to the science of the whole thing. And I mean, for me,
who cares?
I know this might, I know this might be like a small thing for some people, but I feel like so much nowadays, like people are always like, "Oh, that's unrealistic. Oh, that wouldn't happen." And it's like, can you guys just enjoy, like, it's especially like a movie or a video game. These people are just like the most annoying people to be around. So I'm really excited to see that they're actually going to maybe go a little crazy with this game and bring us something that's really unique and fun to play and just kind of fun to kind of get away into a ridiculous world. I don't know. That's exciting to me.
Yeah, I feel like those people that are always snarky, they're just kind of dicks. I mean, I can get how some, like, I read The Martian and some of the stuff was a little out there. I mean, they try to base it all on science and what could really happen. But I mean, there's obviously things that he can't, to push the story along, he has to make things like exaggerate. And then he talks about the sandstorm on Mars, how it happens more than it actually would if you were on Mars. But I think people that are snarky and saying, "Oh, that wouldn't really happen," because actually, fuck you. Let me enjoy my time, especially with a video game. We just talked about how simulation in sports video games can be a detriment over and over, and continuing down this path and making things more of a simulation. It takes out the fun of it. It takes out the excitement of playing video games. How the crazy shit that you can do in video games that you can't actually do in real life, like. It's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. That's an example. I mean, I did episode 43.5 when I did an interview about the evolution of sports and video games. It talks about, Tony Hawk Pro Skater was so outrageous. You couldn't pull off all those moves in succession, but it was just so much fun playing that game. They made it fun. And when I try to play Skate, which is a more realistic skating game, a lot of people do enjoy Skate. I personally never did because I like the aspect of just fucking going nuts with combos and going crazy.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I don't play video games. Video games for me has always been an escape from the real world. I don't really want to be a part of the real world necessarily when I go to play a video game. It's like there's been a few games I feel like I can pull off like the simulation. Oh, bought my mic there. There's been a few games I can pull off the simulation really well. Like, I mean, NBA 2K16 I thought was a great sports video game. It's as realistic as it gets, but still enjoyable.
Yeah.
But there's other games out there that just, I just want to have fun. I just want to have fun, people.
Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, here's a tip. Since NBA, they're going to do NBA Live 18, EA, just go fucking nuts with NBA Live 19. Just go completely the opposite direction. Go fucking balls to the wall arcadey, and I'm sure I will flock back to that game if you add the game modes that are just in normal games like season mode, but just make the gameplay itself arcadey like the old NBA Live games where you could sprint up and down the court like crazy. I would fucking buy that in a heartbeat.
By the way, I just want to make a correction. NBA 2K17. I've been playing NBA 2K16 because I never got the latest version of the game. So NBA games, just in general, really enjoyed it.
Moving on. Apparently, there was a discussion during the 1099 podcast where series creative director Mike Laidlaw, creative director for Dragon Age, stated, quote, "Something is happening with Dragon Age." End quote, and that the Dragon Age team is currently, quote, hiring a lot of people, end quote. It seems, the article states that it seems like they are ramping up to continue the next Dragon Age game. That's exciting because I do love Dragon Age games. I still like Origins the most, but Dragon Age Inquisition was a really good game. I had a lot of fun with it. Very open world. It kind of got bogged down because I think Witcher was around that time too, so a lot of people flocked more to that game instead of Dragon Age Inquisition. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what happened. But I came back to it when it was on cheap, and it's a very solid RPG fantasy. You can play it in Origins aspect where you're, being more tactical, spacing your troops, or you can just control one person, just feel like you're doing the hack and slash like Dragon Age 2, which I would do because that's more of my style. But I still like Origins the most for storytelling purposes. And I had a discussion online where I said I just hope they don't rush it like Andromeda. And mind you that Bioware would not be the team it wouldn't be Bioware Montreal that worked on Mass Effect Andromeda. And I had a discussion, and I wanted to also get your thoughts, Gary, is that somebody stated on Twitter, let me pull it up real quick. So sorry, Gary Phil real quick. Gary Phil.
Phil? Actually, yeah. I will say this. I never actually played Dragon Age. I played a limited amount over a friend's house. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the second one. But it's one of those games that I feel like I would really love because it's BioWare, it's dragons, It's an RPG. How could I not like that? So I'm surprised I never really got into it more.
I would think you would love Origins a lot because the combat in that was kind of like KOTOR, where you sort of just clicked and go, and your guy would just attack. Basically, it was like more strategic. So definitely check out Dragon Age Origins if you can on Steam. For sure, check that out. But this guy at Unfiltered Croc tweeted at me saying they had 5 years to make Andromeda. They didn't rush shit. I stated, well, obviously they needed more time, so if they put it out before it was ready, then it was rushed, right? Quote, or question mark, and he said, no, you can have all the time in the world and still come up short/fail. But I then stated, from what I hear, people weren't a fan of the bugs /look, not the story / the game itself, which signals rushing, but we can agree to disagree. And that's my point, is that I feel like bugs and issues with the game is not, failing. I feel like that is more just they rushed too much. You can have more, you can push back the development time, and I'm sure people will be upset about it, but the more and more that'll, having more time will, will smooth out the bugs and get rid of it. It's not really a failure, especially when people do enjoy the story that's being told. It's some of the animations and some of the bugs that come along with it. That's where they quote unquote fail, as that guy said. But I felt like a lot of the times bugs in video games is a lot of just rushing and trying to meet a deadline and not quite having all the time, and that's what you see all the time with patching, is that they sometimes developers sort of rush to try to meet a quota for their publisher. And I don't think personally that they failed, even though they are getting downsized or disbanded. Bioware Montreal and Mass Effect is going away for a little while, which is kind of sad, but I don't think they failed. I think they just rushed it, and it sort of kind of crushed it. What are your thoughts, Gary? Do you think they failed?
No, I definitely think there was rushing, because if you think about it, it's not like the gripes that I heard from people weren't that the game wasn't complete story-wise or certain things weren't done. It was the idea that it was the problem that there was just so many bugs in the game, facial animations or whatever else was in the game. I never played it personally, but if they had more time, if they were able to really sit down, complete their game, and then have like a small group of testers play it, and then they would be able to find these bugs. That's where I think they were rushed. I agree with you completely. I don't think it was a matter of them just failing. I think that they had to meet, like you said, deadlines. They had to get things done in order, and that's unfortunately the nature of the business. But it kills games,
especially over open world games like that, because I'm sure they did QAing, I'm sure they did testing. But with an open world game, there's so many things that can go wrong, and there's so many things that you can do that sometimes a QA session can just not get, and that's unfortunately what happened, or cannot get in a short amount of time, I guess you could say.
Well, that's the thing. It's a lot of people always say, like, oh, man, they don't make games like they used to. And it's like, well, not really. It's just the fact that there's so many moving parts nowadays, especially with whether it's cars, whether it's, computers or whatever. There's so many moving parts now that one of them's going to fail eventually. It's just that's the way it is. And it's unfortunate, but it's just truth.
It is very true. And I do think I had a thought is that maybe this game will have some sort of resurgence later on when they fix the patches. I have a feeling that this game will be something that you see people going back to and seeing on Reddit and stating like, oh, this game is actually not that bad. And, people coming back to the game and start stating this, like you see it all the time with certain games where people come back and say, no, I thought this game was poor, but it's actually really good because they enjoyed the story, because they fixed all the crazy bugs that happened. And I feel like that could happen with this game.
I sure hope so, honestly, because I was really excited for another Mass Effect game, and when I heard that it didn't really do that well, that was kind of crushing to me, to be honest.
Yeah. We'll see how, in the future, maybe it'll finally make a resurgence and people will enjoy it more once they fix and all the bugs are gone. But another thing in the interview with the creative director, Mike Laidlaw, he made comments about Jade Empire, and stating, quote, that they would be a fool to say that they weren't considering Jade Empire 2. He continues by saying, quote, if someone said to me, what would you do with Jade 2? I have an answer. I have a very clear answer in my head, but I also recognize that the majority of the leadership of Jade Empire 2, the people who are really passionate vision holders, are all on Dragon Age. Let's put it this way. Dragon Age is fairly distracting. So it sounds like they're focusing more on Dragon Age right now because they're ramping up, I guess, starting to ramp up development. So it is kind of perks my ear up is that they Jade Empire hasn't fallen by the wayside, even though it's been a while. Maybe they can, bring it back and hopefully, show this series some love, because a lot of people did enjoy Jade Empire originally on the Xbox. I love that game so much because it was kind of like KOTOR, but in like the Kung Fu style China, where you're fighting. I don't know if it was actually China. I feel like it was, but the combat in the game at the time felt amazing and fluid, had sort of a morality system, classic Bioware, where you're choosing different paths and you can become good or evil. I really enjoy this game, and I would love it if they released a Jade Empire 2. I would be ecstatic. I would blow a load so hard for Jade Empire 2.
Yeah, I never got a chance to play the original Jade Empire. I think I played it on like a demo disc. Like it came like a short portion of the game I could play, and I mean it was fun. That was fun, but I was kind of young at the time too, so I didn't really get the whole gist of what was going on. But it's one of those games that I would like to play. I mean, I think I can actually buy it on Steam, so maybe I think it was like $5 or something when I saw it on Steam, so maybe I'll play through it now. But
you definitely should.
Yeah, but yeah, Jade Empire 2, I would be interested in it, even if I never played the original. Maybe it's not a continuation of the story at all, so we'll see. Yeah.
I also did have an interaction on Twitter when they talked about this, that a lot of people were worried that BioWare would be focusing more on Anthem, and they were worried that the second team would be focused on Dragon Age, and I just wanted to point out that this is how BioWare worked before. This is how a lot of development teams work, is that a lot of one game has most of the focus of a team, and there's still subsets or smaller teams right now working on Dragon Age, the initial portions of it, and once Anthem is released, they'll leave some people working on it to do DLC or add-ons and stuff, and shift people over to the Dragon Age team to start ramping up more of that side. And I just want to, give people not to be worried about the fact that Anthem is happening right now, and they're also talking about Dragon Age. It happens a lot in the industry. You see that with Naughty Dog all the time, with Uncharted and Last of Us. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think people are just paranoid ever since Mass Effect Andromeda kind of flopped. Everyone's just paranoid now that BioWare has lost his touch, but I think they still got it.
I mean, it was a different BioWare too. I remember reading an article on this podcast how in BioWare, I forget where it's originally located, but their original office had differing opinions of how they would make the game versus BioWare Montreal actually made the game. So yeah, so it's not the generic BioWare that we come to know and love that made Andromeda. So I feel like if they fucked up Dragon Age or Anthem, I feel like I'll still give them the benefit of the doubt, because BioWare, the original BioWare, is BioWare that we know and love. But moving on, speaking with IGN, Miyamoto, creator of Mario, I believe. Commented on his worries with Mario running around in a human city in the latest Super Mario game. Quote, I was worried about how players would react to being in a world where Mario is this tall and normal people are a little bit taller. End quote. Ellipsis, quote, or the fact that people don't get mad at Mario when he's jumping up and down and all over the place. But with all that said, I realized that the character Paulina has already existed, and the idea of this game taking place in a city worked out really well, and so we ran with it. End quote. My comments on this is, it's a fucking Mario game. Just go, you're Nintendo, go balls to the wall. People will still love the game if it's fun, and it doesn't have to, again, this whole episode is focusing around realism and simulation versus fun in video games, and I feel like, especially with Nintendo and a Mario game, just go balls to the wall. It'll be fun. You make crazy worlds, just make, it's New Donk City. I don't think people will get too upset that there's humans running around as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because like a lot of people, at least that I've read in the comments section, I mean, this isn't a game that's really on my radar necessarily, but there's a lot of people that are really worried about the real life scenes, like, quote unquote. They're like, oh, Odyssey looks like nothing. This one guy here, Fax23, says, I would be worried too. Odyssey looks like nothing new, and the real life scenes look like garbage.
Wow.
Now, that's just his opinion, of course. I'm assuming you feel different, obviously.
Yeah, it looks like a 3D... Oh, sorry, I hit my mic. It looks like a 3D Mario game. I mean, it's basically the same setup in Mario Sunshine, where he's talking to the Oompa Loompa peoples. I forget what they're called. But instead, they're just humans. I mean, it doesn't look like they're doing actual cutscenes in the game. Like, instead of, they're just doing normal Mario cutscenes that you always see, like Bowser flying in and he has talk bubbles popping up. It's not like fucking cutscenes like you see in the bullshit Sonic games nowadays. So I feel like some people are hating, and I know sometimes we come off as Nintendo haters, but I feel like that was a little too much. I feel like the game looked perfectly fine in the New Donk City. I thought the world that they also showed was sort of Day of the Dead style looking world, looked amazingly beautiful, and I feel like people sometimes can be, go crazy one route versus the other. Like, some people try to defend them to the very end, and some people try to attack them non-stop just because.
Yeah, I mean, just from like the video I'm watching right now, I mean, it doesn't look anything. I mean, as an outsider, as a person that doesn't play a lot of Mario games, I don't really think that looks that bad at all. Graphically, it looks fine, and
Gary,
art style, it doesn't look like out of place.
Let me ask you this: does it look like a video game?
Yes, it does.
Cool. It's a fucking video game, people. Chill. Chillax, man. Chillax. Take a chill pill. It's a video game. It's a video game. It's not going to be super realistic. Who cares? Okay, moving on. Interview with Video Game 24/7 executive producer Chang Hang Kim of PlayerUnknown's Battleground discussed the possibility of a PC and console crossplay. Quote, cross-network play between PC and the console is definitely something we want to do down the road, and we don't anticipate we'll have any technical issues with that. But when you consider the competitive side of the game, I do feel that there's a balance issue between controllers and keyboard and mouse. That's what's making it difficult for us to do it right away, end quote, ellipsis, quote. If we're going to allow players to use controllers, we need to have the aim assist added and things like that. We're not going to be supporting it right away, but it's something we'd like to look into later, end quote. And my initial thoughts is that I can completely understand how PC players can have a better competitive advantage when it comes to people using controllers, because one, you can aim better with a mouse. It's true no matter what it is, and that's why they talk about aim assist. And also, you can flip through weapons and everything more quickly with a keyboard, because, like, for example, Killing Floor 2, you're able to flip through with the number, I believe, choosing a number, which is very quick, whereas, using a controller, you have to cycle through with triangle, which can be kind of a pain when a lot of Zeds are running at you. But Gary, what are your thoughts on, doing crossplay?
Well, obviously, I mean, he already said before, you're already saying that the keyboard and mouse thing is obviously going to be a problem that they have to address. But I think that one of the things I wanted to say is that, this whole crossplay thing, I feel like people need to kind of relax on it a little bit. It's kind of a trend right now where everybody wants to do crossplay all of a sudden. Everybody's just crazy about crossplay. I'm not sure why that is, whatever. But I just think that, like, the case of this game, this game and maybe a few other examples that, I couldn't really name them off, but I think that companies need to just kind of look at their game and determine whether or not the core structure of their game allows them to do crossplay. And, like, this is a perfect example where you have a PC game that's been ported to a console, and it's going to be really hard to balance the PC and console gameplay if you're doing crossplay. And I just feel like these companies need to just kind of relax, know that this is a trend right now. Obviously, it's probably going to happen at some point, and it's going to be like an industry standard. But you just got to make sure that your game can do this before you just go like, all right, we're going to get on this trend. We're going to make people, happy and whatever.
Yeah, you don't want some of your fan bases feel like they are at a disadvantage and feeling alienated because they're playing on a different console. There's an example of crossplay where it makes perfect sense because I don't think it gives any competitive advantage is Rocket League. That seems like keyboard or mouse or controller, I feel like you're still playing the same type of game. You're not getting any competitive advantages because you're just going forward, going backwards, jumping, and flying. That's about it.
Yeah. That's the thing. You just have to make sure don't jump the gun just to fit in with the trend. Make sure your game can do it. Make sure you can do it right.
Crossplay makes sense for console market, even though Sony keeps fucking, not doing it. God damn it, PlayStation. What are you doing? You're just making yourself in PR speak bad, but, maybe just PSN can't handle it. Who knows? Moving on. I thought this was actually kind of cool. I saw this on Eurogamer. There's apparently a Smart Boy accessory for Android phones, which lets you play Game Boy and Game Boy Color cartridges on your Android phone. The front of the device adds a physical D-pad and face buttons to your smartphone and looks like the original gray Game Boy design, which is kind of cool. It works by reading an original games and upscaling the image to proper resolution to display them on your screen. Manufacturer Hyperkin did note that the device can be used to control, quote, other apps and games, including GBA apps from Google Play, end quote. It is due to release in September for £60 or $78. There is no iOS version currently in the works. I honestly thought this was really cool, and from your comments, Gary, I feel like you feel the same way.
Yeah, it's pretty genius, honestly, in terms of design and everything. But, I mean, the $78 price point, it's kind of steep, but I feel like if I had an Android phone, I would probably do this just for the hell of it. I mean, there's a lot of great Game Boy games that I still have to this day. So why the hell not? I spent $78 on worse things, I'm sure, or definitely have. So what the hell?
And I'm not going to condone doing anything like illegal, like getting illegal ROMs that everybody does, but you can, they state, use this for those type of games, and I think it'd be kind of cool because it looks like physical buttons, and being able to play with those type of games with physical buttons seem top-notch to me, so maybe there's an avenue that way, but it's also really cool that you can just use actual cartridges that you have. I know somebody commented, why not go out and buy a Game Boy Color? It may be more difficult to find the games itself, and especially, more rare games like Pokemon, or more beloved games like Pokemon Yellow, Red, Blue, Silver, Gold. Like, just for example, maybe a little harder to get to and purchase. They may be more expensive. But I mean, again, you would have to go buy it if you don't already have the cartridge. But hold on, Gary. Hold on. I'm about to do it. I'm about to fucking do it. Die, you fucking fly! Oh,
you
got him. Oh,
Holy
doctor,
crap.
I got him.
Was that a paint
doctor,
stirrer?
I got him.
Did you just hit that thing with a paint stirrer?
No, I hit it with a ruler.
Oh, I was like, what the hell is that thing? What do you go, some sort of goddamn ninja? How the hell do you hit a fly like that? Because
I'm a fucking baseball player. It's fucking dead.
Ah.
It's right there, Gary.
I'm not sure if you needed to pick it up, but what the fuck?
It flew at my face as it was dying. It was trying to do a last attack. But yeah, motherfucker, I finally got you. I promised I would do it during this episode, and I got the dang fly.
He's leveled up, people. He's leveled up.
Woo! Level 2! Moving on. Just the final rundown. It was announced the Games with Gold and PS Plus games, and I'm going to run through. First, with Games with Gold, you have Grow Up, which is a sequel to Grow Home. A very cute game. Definitely would check it out if you have an Xbox One. You have Runbow coming to Xbox One. Then you have Kane and Lynch 2 for the 360, which most of the time it's backwards compatible, all these games, so you're able to play it on your one. And Lego Pirates Caribbean. That game, it's kind of so-so, honestly. Then the PS Plus games, which is actually kind of seems like it's heavy hitting this week or this month. You have Until Dawn coming to PS4. You have Game of Thrones, the Telltale series, Game of Thrones, coming to PS4. You have Tokyo Jungle coming to PS3, which people apparently adore on the PS3. Darkstalkers Resurrection coming to PS3. You have Element 4i, or Elemental, with the 4 in it. A fucking stupid name, coming to PS Vita. And Don't Die, Mr. Robot, PS Vita, cross-buy with PS4. So Until Dawn and Game of Thrones is actually pretty solid games to get for free. Gary, do you have any preference on which one we were going to be playing?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I think it's just Elemental 4 for the PS Vita. I think it's just a clever way of hiding the 4 in there, but it's Elemental 4.
Fuck that. It's fucking stupid.
Just throwing that out there.
Hate it. I hate it when movies or games do that in their fucking title and put like a number in the middle of it. Like if you do a 3 with an E, I hate it.
It's his greatest weakness. He's leveling down. Anyway.
Fuck is this podcast?
I don't know. I can't see it. Nothing's happening. I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, I think Until Dawn looks pretty cool. It's a horror game, I think, right? I believe. But I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a stab. Maybe that can be the game we play. Maybe a game we can talk about. We've always dreamt of playing one of these terrifying games together. So
this is the game that I think you can play it in one sitting. Maybe I'll drive up to Jersey one of these during this month. We'll just play it together because I'll be scared shitless. But this is the game where you can it's not really too much of actual playing the game. It's like making decisions of what you should do. And I feel like this would be kind of fun playing with multiple people, especially a scary movie, that everyone freaking out and trying to decide which way to go. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You completely agree?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I don't know.
That has been the news for this week. We're smooth rolling. Gary, do you have anything to say before I take us out?
Well, it's been great being here again. Next time, I'll have a webcam, and with that webcam, well, not that it'll matter to you guys, but it'll matter for us. It'll increase the flow of the podcast.
I miss your beautiful beard, Gary.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. The beard is fierce. But the webcam, actually, now that I mention it, is going to probably lead to more of a streaming thing going on. So we'll see. A Two Jersey Kids streaming service that you'll be given.
Yeah,
so,
we'll make sure whenever Gary does finally do that, we'll tweet it out and all that jazz. It'll probably be like a garbage truck on fire, fucking going nuts. Yeah. It probably won't work.
But the camera
won't work right away.
The camera will look great.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no. That's the thing. I have to figure out a game that I'm good at and can stream. See, no one wants to watch Destiny anymore. So, I mean, that would be the game that I'm best at. But I could stream the work in progress that is H1Z1. That would be entertaining, I feel like, to watch my dumbassness in that game. But I pull off some crazy shit sometimes. I actually killed a Twitch streamer twice.
Nice.
Twice. And it was actually pretty funny. Pretty hilarious. The guy actually commended me for the nice shots. So nice. Shout out. I can't remember your name right now, but you're the man.
But maybe when you have Twitch streamer or Twitch people watching you, you have to. I want you to every 15 to 10 minutes make sure you mention our podcast.
Oh, of course. I have to heavily advertise our podcast to piss as many people off.
Mind you, the streaming service itself will be the podcast name, so we got that going for us.
We have to make sure. I have to make sure to advertise in situations that are completely just doesn't make any sense. Man, that was a nice shot. You know who makes nice shots? Two Jersey Kids podcast. Something completely ridiculous. It's like, what?
As I'm about to blow this person's brain out, you know what will blow your brains out? Listening to the Two Jersey Kids podcast every Tuesday and Friday.
Actually, that would be good, though. That would be funny. That actually kind of works.
What can I say? I should be the marketing major, Gary.
Right, you right. Hey, that's all I got to say. It's been awesome being here. I'll see you guys again on the Tuesday episode. And, it's been a great time.
Oh, my God, Gary. This has been fun, cathartic for me after moving all this shit that's in my apartment right now. It's packed to the max. I don't know if you can see it, but thank you all for being here. This has been Two Jersey Kids. We release every Tuesday and Friday. We love you so much. We appreciate you. If you're a new listener, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're a continued listener or a new listener that really enjoyed what they just heard that was in their ear holes, an hour we started, it's been an hour, I don't know what I'm saying right now, but please rate us on iTunes. It'll help us out so much. And if you don't have an Apple phone to rate us, please go over Stitcher.com/2JerseyKids. If you do that on a computer screen, it'll take you to the podcast itself, and you can give us rating there, 5 stars hopefully, if you enjoy us so much. If you don't enjoy us 5 stars, give us 4 stars, or give us feedback. We would love to know what we can do to improve this podcast. We want to make it great for you. And also, follow us on Twitter at 2JerseyKids. I just put out a poll asking people if they would prefer if we would just release one episode a week. Maybe it'll be even lengthier than this one, where me and Gary just shoot the shit even more, instead of doing a Tuesday and Friday. I just want to get your thoughts of what you guys prefer, whether you want two or you want one. Right now it seems like people just want one, so we'll see what happens at the end of the week that the survey is up. But yeah, by the way, what are you gonna say, Gary?
If you did vote in the poll, actually I would be really appreciated too. I think if you tell us maybe who you are, or tweet at us, because I don't want. One thing I was saying to Adam, we have 3 votes so far, but we don't know who voted. So it'd be really cool if you could tweet at us, maybe say, hey, 1 episode's great, or 2 episodes are great. Because if it's a fan of the podcast that's been listening to us for a while, it would mean a lot more than just some schmuck that's out there in the world. Oh yeah, one episode's good. That never even listened to an episode. So you know what? If you're a fan, tweet at us.
What was that? What was that imitation? Oh yeah, well, what episode? Fuck these guys. Sounds like he was in Transylvania mixed with fucking Mr. Magoo. What was happening there, Gary?
I don't know. See, this is gonna be part of the stream. This is when I'm gonna impersonate people. I'm gonna go crazy. You'll see. You'll see.
You guys, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? You could hear my impersonation of Jim Ryan. It was a very positive, fantastic impersonation. Spot on. I don't even know the guy, but yeah, it was good. We appreciate you again for being here. I don't know what is happening towards the end. Gary, say bye.
See ya.
Keep playing those games, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday, next week, next Friday in your ear holes. As always, we are the Two Jersey Kids. We love you and appreciate you all. Bye.